been working on, that when Xserve comes out and is available, it will have faster SMP networking. It will be completely headless. So this can sit in a rack, and I can, over the network, set it up, manage it, take care of it, do maintenance without ever having to hook up a monitor if I don't want to. We've added support for UPS systems, so we can have uninterrupted power supply, and over USB, communicate with those and manage them. We've enlarged the file system support because clearly you're going to add storage solutions to this. Stick in a SCSI card or fiber channel card to talk to a RAID array, and you want larger file systems, so now we support up to 2 terabyte file systems for each of these servers. You want to plug these servers in to existing management infrastructures. And this is an area where Apple has to be extremely humble. There are other companies that manage entire large enterprises much better than we do. And you're going to hear more about that later. But we plug in with standard SNMP environments. We've created our own MIB to plug into these great, powerful tools so that somebody with a cross-platform server environment can manage their Xserves just like they manage servers from any of the other companies you've seen us compare to. And we have great tools for the Apple customers. If you're an Apple shop, you've got a Mac OS X machine to administer this on, you want to buy a bunch of Xserves out of the box, we will give you simple, powerful management tools that's easier than anyone else has today. And any customer can just get up and running and manage these things with some very, very cool ways. And I'll show you how that looks. And as Steve mentioned, unlimited clients. You don't have to worry about client licenses. How many web-based customers are getting on your server? How many customers inside your company are getting on the server? Just unlimited clients. So one less thing to worry about, one less hidden cost in deploying servers. So what does that look like? Well, here is the system administration. This is the kind of user interface we have to set up all these great services, these software services we've talked about. This compares to most customers are using still text-based, standard old-fashioned terminal-like applications to manage their servers. They're writing into long config text files, and we do it through a beautiful Aqua interface. And that was existing with Mac OS X already, system administration, which now makes tremendous sense in this product. A completely new piece of software we're adding is called the Server Monitor. And this is how you manage all of the hardware and all that great data that's coming from the hardware that Steve talked about. But rather than explain it, the easiest way for me to talk about it is to show you these two pieces of software. So I have a PowerBook up here, beautiful titanium PowerBook G4, administrator's tool of choice. And we've created a network of Xserves right here in this building. We've got some over in the piano bar that you can take a look at later. We've got some in some other rooms. And if I want to manage some of those, well, first, if I want to manage the services, I just launch the server admin, and I can log into any one of them. I'm going to go log into one of those servers, and this is the user interface to manage that server. So, for example, simple things, like I want server info. I want to get what software is it running, what's its serial number. I just click on it, and up that pops. Maybe you want to manage those clients. This client management is becoming one of the most important things people are buying servers to do. Very simple, Apple ease of use, adding users, replicating that across many servers. I've got an engineering group here. Let me just open up that. If I want to add some people to my engineering group, add Alex to it, I just drag him over. He's now in that group. Save it off. I'm done. I've added a user and a group to my server. Just Apple ease of use. Try that on a Linux server. You'll be playing around with config files for days. Let's go over to file and print. We talked about these services that we provide as a file server. Let's say I want to enable, on the server that I'm talking to right now, I want to enable Windows file services. It's really complicated. I go to my Windows file service, start it, it's now a Windows file server. That's all you have to do. It will show up in the network neighborhood on a Windows client machine and look just like a Windows server. And the client doesn't have to know anything different. Want to get in there and configure it at a level of detail, you can go in, manage the neighborhood. How do you want it to appear as a WinS server? No problem. We have all the right tools to drill down and do whatever you want. That's Apple ease of use. Let's go into the internet side. Talked about Apache. If any of you have ever had the pleasure of setting up an Apache server, while it's the most popular server in the world, it's not the easiest server to set up an administrator. Most people spend days, literally 2-3 days, setting it up, configuring it, playing with the config files, trying to get it just right, making sure they made it secure and set off all the right ports that they have to worry about. Well, at Apple, it's really complicated. We click Start Web Service. It'll blink for a few seconds as it sets up our Apache web server, and then it'll be all set for you. And that's it. That's the world's easiest to use Apache web server. Of course, there's a lot of detail in there. We can go in and configure that server. There's a lot of information you can drive down. For example, I've got one website running on this server. Let's get inside it. Maybe I want to turn on security, add SSL security to my website. Just a checkbox. I've now turned on website security with SSL on an Apache web server. Challenge anyone else who shows you a server demo of Apache to go in and add a website and turn on SSL. There won't be enough hours in the day to get something like that done. Close that off. So it's very simple. Here's some of those network servicings I talked about. If I want to turn on IP firewall, just a click of a button, add a DHCP server, click of a button, you can configure it at will. So administering a server and all the services you support in your enterprise is really easy, and yet it's all Unix-based. So that's what we mean by the power of Unix, the ease of use of a Mac, and how it applies to a server. Now let's go a step further now. That other piece of software I told you about, Server Monitor. So this is our new software for managing the hardware of an Xserve. So remotely, never having hooked up a monitor to any of these servers, I can bring it up and I can manage it anywhere in the world using this software with all the proper levels of security in place that only the right people can do this. I have a bunch of servers. I can support hundreds of services in this interface, and they can all scroll. They give you your name, the IP address of the server, and at a glance, with all these great green dots we'll talk about in a second, instant view on so many of the key critical information coming from the server. So, and it works a lot like iTunes. I want to just focus down on a couple servers, piano bar. I just start typing, and it will filter what I'm working on at the time. I can work on all of them or a few of them. Again, I can manage hundreds of them. Well, let's look at some of the information. Let me click on this first server. What you're going